Hello and welcome to Global Eye. I'm Parikshit Luthra, and the top global story we are tracking this evening. The Israeli military has launched a wave of strikes against nuclear sites in Iran and also targeting Iran's military leadership. Israel struck the Natanz uranium enrichment plant and has killed 6 nuclear scientists. Iran's top military commanders have been killed, including General Hossein Salami, the head of the Revolutionary Guard. Israel deployed 200 fighter jets, striking more than 100 targets in Iran, including the capital Tehran as well. The Israeli government has also declared a state of emergency across the country. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu justified the military operation and said it could continue as long as necessary. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has warned that there will be action and threatened that Israel would have to face severe punishment as well. Iranian state TV reportedly said that residential areas in Tehran were hit and civilians were killed. The state TV also aired footage of Iranians taking to the streets and chanting death to Israel and death to America. Both Israel and Iran have shot their airspace until further notice. Iran has launched hundreds of drones at Israel, and the Israeli army says it is working to intercept them as well. US President Donald Trump has warned Iran to make a deal, saying things can only get worse. This comes after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Israel acted unilaterally and the US was not involved in the attacks. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said, and I quote, "There has already been great death and destruction, but there is still time to make the slaughter, with the next already planned attacks being even more brutal, come to an end. Iran must make a deal before there is nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire." End of quote. Let me now go across to our guests right now. We are joined by Secy Singh, former Indian secretary, somebody who has been our ambassador to Iran, a secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs as well. We've also joined by Benny Benjamin, former IDF officer, Waiel Awwad, senior journalist and West Asia expert, also joining us. Ambassador Secy Singh, Donald Trump posting on Truth Social saying that just make a deal before it's too late, before there is nothing left. We've not seen any American president talking like this. What do you think is going to happen? Iran is not going to take this lying down. Ayatollah Khamenei has promised retaliation. How soon is that going to happen? How strongly will that happen, according to you?
Look, President Trump initiated the talks in March. He should have let it to the Iranian leadership. The talks had begun in Muscat. And then sometime in June, I think there is a split that in May, a split became visible when President Khamenei tweeted about it and said that they want to shut us down 100%. So there was a deal that the Americans offered in which I think they wanted the nuclear program to be completely shut down. Now, this was different from the 2015 deal, which was there between the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council, plus Germany with Iran, which Trump had dumped when he became president. That deal involved allowing Iranians' nuclear enrichment program to continue, but with IAEA oversight and constraints on how long this was to continue. Now, having dumped that, then the Iranians completely felt liberated and they started expanding their program. Today, they have almost 500 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60%. Now, just for your viewers, you need 90% enrichment to get a nuclear bomb. And to go from 60 to 90 takes very little time. It takes a lot of time to go from 2 or 3 to 60, but 60 to 90 is very quick. So which means theoretically, they're capable of producing 9 or 10 devices or have enough enriched uranium for a device every month, one device. Now, we don't know what is the amount of damage the Israelis have done, because most of the facilities, Iranians had, Natanz and all is overground. But some of the other facilities have been moved within mountains or deeply underground. How much have they been affected? We don't know. Now, what are the Iranian options? Now, Americans having said, we haven't done anything, we are not doing anything, Iranians had threatened them earlier that if we are attacked by Israel, we'll take it, it's an American attack, and we'll attack you wherever you are in the Gulf. So that's why Americans had withdrawn diplomats from Iraq, families from their military bases in the Gulf. But so far, the Iranians have not attacked Americans. And I think they may not because they realize there's no point in widening it. They will retaliate against the Iranians, but it doesn't affect against Israel. But that doesn't affect Israel much because they have the Iron Dome and the air defense. So that leaves Iranians with very few cards in hand because Hezbollah is too weak to retaliate. Hamas is completely brought down. There is no friendly government in Damascus. So Iran has to just count on itself. And plus, it's got friends in the way of Russia and China. They will only give indirect help. They'll only give advice. They can't directly enter the combat. It's possible that the stance that President Trump has taken will offend the Iranians more because he's essentially playing the good cop and threatening them. That a worse thing, which means he's working in tandem with Israel. No American president should do that. By saying that, he's made sure the Iranians will not come back to the negotiating table. It's a very proud nation. 2,500-year-old civilization in terms of government. The Achaemenid Empire, and surprisingly, President Trump refers to it. It was an empire that had influence all the way to Greece. All what is now West Asia was all under the Achaemenid Empire. They almost overran Greece. Now, to remind them of that and tell them to be just limited to Iran is really contradictory. That's the kind of memory that the Iranians have. So I don't think they're going to, and that's why the people have come out in the streets. Netanyahu is completely wrong when he thinks the regime will get overthrown. When you attack them, the people will come behind the government, even if they despise them. And I think that's a mistake for Netanyahu to assume that the government will get overthrown. In fact, the government will get stronger with this kind of an attack. So I don't know where it's headed, but essentially our hope is it doesn't escalate and affect the situation in the Gulf.
Okay, Benny Benjamin, to get you in, would you say that this was the culmination of Israel's military operation against Hamas, against Iran's proxies, and this is what everything had been building up towards?
First of all, we forget of October 7th that we had. They were the first proxies to attack Israel, and this was Hamas. After that, Hezbollah started. This is the second proxy that Iranians were having here, and they started. And then we had from Iraq, then we had from Houthis, from Yemen, and so on and so on. Syria, don't forget about it. And, we just said in the beginning, please stop it. We told the Lebanese, we told the Syrians, we told the Houthis, but Iranians were backing them. Iranians were paying a lot of money to the Houthis and all these proxies. And it started like this. I know Benjamin Netanyahu was all the way talking about Iran from the first. I'm talking about 20, 25 years ago. But I'm not getting in this because I'm not so sure about the things that what Iran is doing or what these guys are doing with the nuclear. But I know that this started from the 7th of October for me. And we ended with Hamas, we ended with Hezbollah, we ended with some of the places in Syria where the Syrians, they have a new president now, and Houthis are still shooting at us, and it's no end. So any country like Israel or India, or I'm an Indian born, so I know what is India. So India or anybody can allow themselves to get shoot every day, or we are more than 2 years getting in the shelters. It's not possible. So I think it is this war is. I know that it was supposed to happen somewhere, and I think the Palestinians what the Americans were trying to do is to negotiate, but the president he said very clearly that the things are not happening. They are on their own this thing, and they are not going to change. So, as per my opinion, what the Netanyahu did tonight, I'm not so sure. I'm once again, I'm not in the army. I don't have any clues what is what. But I think as a citizen of Israel, I think this must end somewhere. I mean, it is not possible.
Okay. Right. Let me go back to Ambassador Secy Singh at this point. Ambassador Secy Singh, what are the options that Iran has to bring the world to a negotiating table, especially countries like US, if they want, and US is the only country which can put pressure on Israel at this juncture. Do you think, and this has not happened before, can Iran go ahead and take the step of shutting down or closing the Strait of Hormuz? Can they do that unilaterally?
Oh, they have the capacity to do it, obviously, but they will not be doing that at the moment. That's hurting themselves. I think what they would be looking for, they were already at the table talking to the Americans. But what the Americans brought to the table was to completely shut down their nuclear program, which the Supreme Leader has said is not acceptable to them. They wanted to go back to JCPOA, the old deal, but that is not acceptable to Trump. He had junked it. He says, no, they can't have any program at all. Now, the problem with President Trump is that, he will both get involved and stand by the side of the road and watch action. The role that US has traditionally played of being in the fray and then stopping the fray, and then at least appearing to be reasonably neutral, that is no longer there. That even President Biden was not neutral. We saw what was happening in Gaza day after day. So it's, I think Netanyahu is under pressure domestically. He's just survived by one vote or two votes. His government was going. His support in Europe has floundered. But President Trump seems to support him because the person he's put in charge of Israel, etc., these are all part of the Jewish lobby in America. And President Trump is completely with them. So in this kind of a situation, the negotiating, mediating role gets compromised. I don't think Iran, after this attack, will sit down at the table unless the terms of engagement are changed, which I think is unlikely. But President Trump has also he's shown some anxiety about Netanyahu not listening to him, but he's not applied any pressure so far. So America has to move into a more neutral position to contain the extremely right-wing government in Israel, because Netanyahu action in Israel and see what the people of Israel want. Do they want this kind of a government to continue, or they want a more accommodative government, which is looking for peace domestically and abroad?
Right. Let me go back to Benny Benjamin at this point. Benny Benjamin, do you get a sense that now Israel is in this for a long haul? Because we spoke to the Israeli ambassador earlier. They expect retaliation from Iran. There will be retaliation. Israel will respond. There will be Iran's proxies, which will also take some action. Is this now going to be an exercise which may go on for the next few months?
First of all, I pray to God that it will not happen for some months, because we are not a big country. We are a very small country, and it can affect to us personally with our public or with our citizens. One thing I can promise you that, of course, Israel doesn't want war. That is definite. And the problem is, it is not so easy in this area. It is not so easy in this area to make peace with some countries. We have made some peace with some countries like Jordan, like Egypt. We have done with the UAE, and it's going on and on. I don't think that these countries like Palestinians or the Brotherhood, the Muslim Brotherhood, we can't make any peace with them. I think so. We don't want, one thing I can tell you one thing. One thing is very definite. We don't want the second Pakistan is having nuclear bombs. That will be Iran. That is definite. We don't want that. And I know exactly what is happening in India. I know what is happening in Israel and what is happening all over the world with Muslim brotherhoods. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm talking about Muslim brotherhoods. So it must be changed. And I'm so sure that if they will give our hand to us for a peace, we'll be more than happy. See, we have peace in Jordan. We have peace in Egypt. I think more than 30 years, we don't have any war with Egypt. No soldier was killed there for anything. And you can see this is the best thing to have. We know that. And the public is with it.
Okay, we've completely run out of time, but I'd like to thank Benny Benjamin and Ambassador Secy Singh for joining us on the program. It indeed is a developing situation. Iran will get back at Israel, and we will have to see what happens thereon. On that note, we take a short break, but when we return, we get you an exclusive interview with the Israeli ambassador to India, Reuben Azar, who comes and explains us why Israel chose this moment to attack Iran.